Welcome back to the Investorship Podcast. I'm Nick Beveridge here with my co-host, Jeremy Kitchen. Good morning.
Hi, how you doing? Good morning. How are you? Today we're talking about real estate super teams.
Super teams, we're going to teach you how to build them. Build the real estate teams, because if you're a real estate investor or a new one, you're going to want to know how to do it good and well.
You're going to build and flex your real estate muscles by building a team. It's a good thing to have, so let's talk about it.
Jeremy, how many people should be on your team?
I don't think we can do this whole episode.
We're not going to do that the whole time. We wanted to, but we lost everybody.
Yeah. Sorry. So welcome, everybody. Welcome the Investor Shed Podcast. Again, Nick said he's Nick Beveridge. I'm Jeremy Kitchen. We are North Idaho's #1 real estate podcast with co-hosts named Nick and Jeremy about real estate investing set in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Try me, motherfucker.
That can also do Arnold and
that can also do
impressions.
The list keeps getting smaller and smaller about how we're #1, and I love that.
Yeah.
But seriously, we are talking about building a real estate super team and building all the pieces you need in order to have a highly functioning team in real estate today.
That's right. So I think this is going to be one of our more important episodes when it comes to education.
Yeah.
And what's really, really important, what's really important for real estate investors that are newer is it's all about who you know, right?
Yes, 1,000%. It is definitely all about who you know. Specifically, like you said, when you're starting out in this business, it's hard to figure out like who needs to be doing what.
Yeah. It's hard to figure out like if what you're doing is effective or not. That's one of the toughest thing I've noticed that people kind of struggle with. And I did too for the first few years. Like you just didn't know, what should I spend my time on?
Yeah.
And what's actually going to yield results over time. And the truth is, I mean, it's about making offers and growing your team.
Yes.
Growing your network. Because when you're investing in real estate, you're out there working on properties or putting deals together, you are 100% dependent on a lot of people.
Yep.
A lot of different people. So it's all about like building this super team, not just anybody, but going through the best agents, the best lenders, the best property managers.
Yeah.
And the list goes on and on and on, where there's about 50 or so, maybe more, people that you really should have in your phone just for your real estate sales, not sales business, but investing business.
Yeah, and you're not going to use every single one of these people on every single transactions, but it's important to know that these people exist and how to get a hold of them for their services, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Where should we start?
I think we should start at the top of the list, man. Like, everyone says there's 3 key pieces that you need in order to build a real estate super team.
3?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's your real estate agent, that's your lender, and that's your contractor. Those are your bread and butters.
Yeah, those are 3 that you'll probably use the most often.
Right. So let's kind of talk about those, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so the real estate agent, surprise, I am one. A lot of real estate investors actually just go ahead and get their license so that they can kind of try to tackle this portion too. It is a completely separate job, but like a real estate agent's job, they're out there deal hunting, they're coordinating transactions, and they're marrying buyers and sellers.
Right.
They're brokering transactions. So that's their job.
Yeah.
Now, if you're in the acquisition phase of your venture or the selling phase, you're going to need an agent.
Yes.
If you're in the phase where you've already got a bunch of properties and you don't plan on selling anything, you probably won't need that agent for a while.
Yeah.
But if you're buying properties and you're selling properties, an agent is a pretty important. Yeah, they're up there in the top 3.
Oh yeah, 1,000% on that too. Like, I mean, if you even look at FSBOs, for sale by owners, and see how well they sell versus how well an agent can sell your property for you, and how much more money they can get, and how much more knowledge they have, like it's just a no-brainer that paying the 3% or whatever it is to an agent and have them represent you.
Oh yeah, if you have to pay them,
right?
Most of the time, so the sellers are going to pay usually. Like 95% of the time,
right?
A seller is going to be able to pay for your agent if you're using one as a buyer's agent.
Sure.
Unfortunately, if you are in North Idaho, there is a big supply of real estate agents to choose from. That we have so many. There's one in every family, I believe, if you're up here, and it is hard to sometimes tell who's going to be the right one.
Yep.
So sometimes you have to jump around.
Yeah. You got to interview a couple and find somebody that's going to make sense with what you're trying to do.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with having multiple conversations with multiple different agents.
Yeah.
And just putting it out there. Hey, if you can help find me a deal, I'd work with you.
Yeah.
And you can say that to 50 different agents, and it's really not a huge deal as long as you don't verbally commit to or contractually commit one or the other. Should be like, yeah, you're my only agent I'm going to work with.
Right.
Just tell them, hey, I'd love to work with you if you can find me a deal.
Yeah.
And then that way you can expand that team as much as you want.
Yeah.
You can call tons of different agents.
Yeah.
And say, hey, I'm looking for something like this. Most agents, if they see your actual criteria, what you need to make a deal work, and if you're like us where you need a super good deal, most agents are probably not going to want to work with you.
Yep.
Which is okay.
Yep.
You just need to filter through them.
Filter through them 100%. And then with that too, like you said, Nick, it's not all about having one agent and one agent loyalty, although I do recommend that from time to time. Find the agent that works best for you, and what works best for you might not be what works best for you on every single transaction. So just something to remember. Yep. But also if you build loyalty and you build these criteria, an agent's going to work harder and harder to try to get your repeat business from you as well.
Yeah. And if you're super new to this, just know that real estate agents only get paid if you buy or sell a property with them.
Right. With a transaction completes with them specifically.
Yeah. Some people don't know this. Some people, like, they just think agents get paid by their brokers, whether they sell anything or not, like they're on salary or something like that. No, they're their own business. They're a 1099 person. They only make a commission if they do a transaction with you.
Yep.
On the buy side or sell side. So just know that and respect their time. Don't take up too much of their time if you really don't anticipate working with them.
Yeah.
Because you're basically stealing money. Because you're stealing their time, and their time is worth money.
Yeah.
If you know you're not going to work with this person, but yet you're asking them for resources and help, don't be a don't be a jackass.
I agree with that for sure.
I just think that there's morally something wrong with that, to intentionally work with, like, have somebody do work for you that you know they're not going to benefit anything from it long term.
Right.
Now you may think, well, I might work with this guy, so I'm gonna ask if he'll do a CMA for me, which might take an hour of his time.
Sure.
And that's where a CMA is like a comparative market analysis.
Yeah.
If you found a property that you might want to purchase, you want to get an idea, what is it worth? That's a great way to not pay $700 for an appraisal.
Yeah.
You can have a real estate agent drum up a CMA, which is a comparative market analysis report, which basically is the same thing that an appraiser does, but just on a dumbed down scale, but it will yield almost the same results.
Yeah, it gives you kind of a baseline of what your price should be when you price this thing out.
Yeah, more of a range, and not necessarily this is the value.
Right. You've got your little highers, little lowers, but here's kind of the things that have been selling in your area for over the last 6 to 12 months type of thing. So.
Yeah, and if they go above and beyond, which I usually do on my CMAs, I'll make manual adjustments for square footage, and bedrooms, and condition, and that kind of stuff. That way you get a much smaller range of what a property should be worth, as is or fixed up.
Right.
So real estate agents, so they can help you find deals, evaluate properties, negotiate offers. And then another big thing that they do that most people don't realize, especially if you're newer, this really helps, but they will guide you through the whole escrow process.
Yep.
Which
Very
is
important.
Which is a lot. That's 80% of it. Once you have a deal under contract,
that's not it.
That's not it. There's a lot. There's inspections. There's a full contract to follow through on. Our Idaho contracts are 8 pages, and they're very detailed out. There's a lot to do.
Yeah.
There's a lot to do to that property with different inspections, different timelines, and it helps to have somebody that is your go-to guy or gal that is helping you accomplish all these tasks for you.
Yeah.
Or with your guidance.
And I wouldn't even call this this is an extra perk that a real estate agent does. It's not legal protection, but it is somebody to, evaluate a contract and tell you whoa, this is legit, this is not legit. Like someone to kind of help you point out red flags on something that may or may not be signed. Yeah.
Yeah. And the cool thing about real estate agents is that not all of them, but most of them, if they've been in the business for a few years, chances are they've been a part of way more transactions than the average investor.
It's true.
Because most investors, they may buy, a few properties over their lifetime. But an agent, they may do, 30 deals a year.
Yeah.
And so they're involved in every part of that transaction. So they actually do have so much more knowledge when it comes to the transaction side of things and inspections and that kind of stuff and what to look out for, how buildings are built. Like they just start naturally learn all this stuff because they have to.
Yeah.
So you'd be surprised just how much a real estate agent knows, even if they haven't invested themselves in a property, even if they don't have any rentals, even if they've never flipped a property. Their knowledge of how real estate works is going to be far superior than most other people in your Rolodex.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I think just a final point on real estate agents, you talked about at the beginning how you said, sometimes real estate investors will want to become agents so they can save on their own commissions and, use that as a down payment of sorts or a kickback.
Which is possible.
Which is possible. And we've talked about this before, but you say, and quote me if I'm wrong when you say this, but you said like, the people who want to become real estate agents should. If you don't want to be an agent, you shouldn't get your license.
Right. If you're just getting your license to save money on commissions, you really need to step back and wonder and do some math and figure out if it's going to be worth it. Because how many deals are you planning on buying a year?
Right.
And you have a track record already of buying so many deals a year. If you've never bought or sold a house, and you want to be an investor, and then you're just going to go ahead and get your license too, you might just be in distraction land.
Yep, that's busy work stopping you from getting to your goal for sure.
Yeah, which I've seen a lot of people do. They're excited about real estate. They want to be an investor, but they don't want to be an agent. But they're going to go ahead and get their real estate license so that they can potentially save on the money, and they want to do everything except for make money. They want to save money in every
There's a
part of it.
big difference there, making money and saving money.
And I've seen people do this a lot, and they trick their brains into doing anything but the important stuff. And, I'm going to get my license. I'm going to go to these courses. I'm going to do everything except for make offers on properties.
I'm going to build my LLC. I'm going to get my logo all set. I'm going to do all this stuff that isn't actually doing work.
Which is all important, but it's important once you have deal flow.
Yep.
If you don't have any deal flow, put all that on the back burner.
Yeah.
For the most part.
You're basically just revving your engine in neutral. You're not going anywhere, but you're going to burn out your machines.
It's a good analogy.
Thanks.
Yeah. Real estate agents, they obviously they do play a huge part.
Yeah.
And how they play a huge part is if you watch very experienced investors like house flippers, for instance, or new construction home builders, which are essentially flippers, but they just build.
Yep.
They all use agents.
Yeah.
They don't go and it's not for sale by owner with a lot of these people. They know that they're going to get the most money and net the most money and with the least amount of hassles by just hiring the right agent with the right commission.
Yeah.
You don't always have to pay 6%.
Right. It's all negotiable.
You can work out deals with your agents if they're comfortable making less.
Yeah.
It's if they expect, volume over time. That's not uncommon at all. So if you're trying to save money, try to save money in other ways instead of being I'm going to do it myself every step of the way. Because I've seen a lot of, kind of grungy investors that will they'll be their own agent. They'll just market their houses on Facebook.
Yep.
And I always see that they're just selling it for less than they should.
Yep.
because they end up having to just to attract people that aren't currently working with agents that are typically looking for good deals.
Right. And just the exposure you get from, using an agent and being able to utilize the MLS, the multiple listing services platform is incredible.
Yeah. And then I like to think of one other analogy, like if you have a Rolex, a used Rolex, but like you have a nice Rolex and you want to make some good money on it, the last thing you should be doing is putting a yard sale, get a yard sale up and putting it on display on your yard sale.
Yep.
And you're not going to get the most money for your Rolex that way.
Yeah.
You go to a watch store and put it on consignment and get a salesperson involved.
Yeah.
And it will go to a market where people that are in the market for watches, not necessarily good deals, but people that are in the market for watches will come to the watch store, and you should be able to make more money with that salesperson involved that is selling your watch amongst other watches. And they have a selection to choose from because buyers that want to buy, they work with agents that aren't as concerned with getting the best deal in the world.
Yeah.
They're working with agents so that they can have a hassle-free experience and just go get the house that they want.
Yeah.
So think of it that way.
No, that's a really good analogy for that, Nick. Honestly, like, and it kind of brings me back to when I sold one of my sports cards to help me with my down payment for my house.
Yeah.
I gave it to a consignment shop.
Oh, did you?
And
Okay.
I let them sell it, so I didn't have to go through the hassle of putting up a $4,000 card on eBay, having 10% fees taken out, having something go wrong with the shipping. I sent it to another company. They put it up on bid, and it went for what it was supposed to.
That's cool.
And they're just said like, okay, we take 6% of your fees or whatever it sells for.
But they did all the work.
But they did all the work, and they shipped it out, and they did everything.
They marketed it.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
that's cool.
And it was great.
And you told them how much you wanted.
No, I didn't tell them how much I wanted. They just ran it at
get as
auction.
much? Okay.
Yeah. So they ran it at auction, and it went for market value.
The difference with real estate agents is that you get to tell them how much you want.
Right.
And you don't have to accept any offers of, something that you don't want.
Yeah.
You can just decide not to do it.
Yep.
And you don't have to pay anything up front. Most of the time. Some agents, they may charge a marketing fee.
Sure.
Up front. Depends on, the level that you're at.
Yeah.
But in general, there's a cost of sale associated with it and not an operating expense when it comes to selling real estate with agents.
Absolutely. And just something to keep in mind with that for sure. Like I said, if you're trying to do for sale by owner or anything, how much money could you be saving by getting a real estate agent?
How much money could you be saving by getting one versus for sale by owner?
Yeah, I'm not saying like there's a number here, but what I'm saying is like...
there are potential numbers.
Yeah.
The last I looked, you can get net almost 2% more with an agent doing all the work for you.
Yeah.
Than you can if you were trying to save, the full 5 or 6% or whatever it is, and sell it off market to somebody who's willing to come in and pay, something, because those people are also expecting a discount, knowing that there's no brokerage involved.
Yep.
And they know you're saving, if it's a $400,000 home, they know that you're saving. Let's see, what is 400, times 6%? What is that, 20 grand or more?
Yeah. 24 grand?
Let's see, 6,000 times 24,000. Yep.
Okay.
So $400,000 home, if you're selling it, they know that you're saving, they can do some quick math. Oh, you're saving over, 20 grand. You're saving like 24,000 by not having an agent in here.
Yeah.
How about we do it for this? And they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And it's probably not going to be marketed correctly to get more than what it's potentially worth.
Right.
So anyway, that's that.
Yeah, for sure.
Next person. So we talked about agents. Obviously, that was a huge part. There's a lot to go through on this list.
Yeah, we're not going to spend as much time as we did on real estate agents, but we wanted to definitely hit the key three and really start kind of maybe spending a few minutes on the extra ones after that.
Yeah, because agents could be your go-to for a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Another thing. So this is going to be somebody who's not necessarily on the ground, but they are. You can work with them virtually. It's a mortgage broker or lender. If you want to leverage and get loans on properties, you need to know not one, not two, not three, but like several different mortgage brokers.
Yeah.
Actually, so there's mortgage bankers, there's lenders, there's banks.
Yeah.
There's Rocket Mortgage. There's all these different types of mortgages. I really like mortgage brokers, like Brett that we had in the studio the other day.
Yeah.
Because those people can shop for the best types of loans for you and your situation.
Right.
And they can typically get a better deal than you could if you got there directly, and they kind of bake their fee into that discount that company gives them to broker a loan.
Yep.
So it doesn't really cost you anything extra for the most part, most cases, to work with a mortgage broker that will find you the best loan.
That's awesome.
And obviously, I mean, we don't need to go in depth about lenders. They're important.
Yeah.
You should know several, though, because you may qualify with one lender, but not another.
Yeah.
Or you may go to the first lender and you don't qualify for a loan, and then you're like, I guess I'm just going to do hard money forever.
Yeah.
But maybe that doesn't have to be the case. Just go talk to multiple different lenders and get referrals in your networking groups if you can.
Yeah.
For who works with real estate investors or self-employed people or nurses or doctors or whatever you are.
Yeah.
But try to find the specialists that can work with you.
Yeah.
Because not all mortgage brokers are treated equally.
That's true. And speaking of that, obviously we're talking about conventional real estate brokers right now. Nick and I also broker hard money, and we try to find you the best deal for your real estate projects. So if that's something you need, please contact us for that as well.
Yeah. So basically, we're just talking about getting a conventional loan on real estate where you have to fit the box.
Yep.
But there's different levels of boxes.
There are. Yeah.
There are traditional lenders out there that do non-QM loans, which is a non-qualified mortgage, which means that you don't necessarily have to provide your taxes and all that stuff. If you could just prove that you make a lot of income, like with your bank statements or something like that, there are different types of loans that they can make work. Or if you're buying a multifamily property, like a fourplex, and you can show that the income from the fourplex makes more than the payment. Sometimes you can qualify just based off that and your credit score. So there's different types of loans out there.
It's like a DSCR, right?
Yeah, DSCR.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, but it's good to know these lenders, and it's good to know the products that they give, right? So Nick said, interview 6 or 7 and make sure you understand what all their criteria is.
Yeah.
And that way, when it comes time for you to fire on a deal, you're like, okay, let me check my list. This person does this. This person does this. I'm going to contact this person and see if we can make this happen.
Yeah. And if you feel like you're annoying people, like lenders, by trying to get a hold of them and asking them about lending, you're not.
That's their job.
That's their job. They will take you out to coffee and they will buy your coffee just to talk to you about their loans that they can do with pretty much no strings attached.
Right.
So take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Like go meet with some lenders, have them take you to coffee or whatever you'd like, and get to find the right person for you.
Yeah.
Somebody else that's going to be crucial if you're getting a loan on a property or if you're buying a property in general, you're going to want an insurance agent.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes multiple different types of agents.
Yeah.
Like I don't always use the same insurance company for everything. I've got one insurance agent that does all my personal home, like my home and auto and stuff. And then I've got another agent that I use that just does like our flips.
Okay.
The properties that we fix and flip.
Yeah.
He has better products that I like to use him for.
Yeah, for short-term stuff.
Yep.
Okay.
There's another insurance guy that we had for Airbnbs. There's another insurance guy that I have for my RV park.
Okay.
So, yeah.
What kind of questions are you asking your insurance people to find out who's best fit for what?
Just real simple questions like, hey, I've got an RV park. Do you do that? Or who should I talk to?
Sure. Do you know anybody else who can, right?
Or I'm going to be fixing and flipping properties. Do you do fix and flip loans?
Like 12-month loans or anything?
Yeah. There's insurance is going to be something that you'll probably shop a lot.
Sure.
And there's just make sure that you're comparing apples to apples.
Yeah.
Because not every insurance product, even somebody can quote you something that's much cheaper. Chances are that it's less coverage. Because what I've noticed is that actually most insurance people, they charge like the same, but they'll present different coverage amounts on the back end to kind of fit your budget.
Right.
But the last thing you want to do is think that you're covered on all these things, and then when you actually have to make a claim, it's pointless because you're not going to get any money, or you're not covered for a certain item. Or, oh, I didn't know that on my rental property I had a roof leak. I didn't know it didn't cover roof leaks unless there's a windstorm.
Right. Yeah.
Like there had to be a windstorm in order for it to be covered.
Yeah, define windstorm.
Okay, that sucked. I had to change agents after that. But sorry, go ahead.
What kind of coverages? I know I asked what kind of questions, but what kind of coverages do you typically look for when you're vetting these people selling insurance?
I like to compare, the replacement value to other replacement values, and make sure that we're like the same amounts are in place,
right?
And the same, if I hit somebody with my car, is it going to pay them out $1,000 or $10,000 or $1 million?
Right.
Like there's
big difference there.
Yeah, there's general liability policies out there. There's umbrella policies out there that maybe some other agents are better at the umbrellas than others.
Yeah.
So insurance is a wild world that you're just going to have to ask a lot of questions and get recommendations from other investors on what they have and what's worked.
Yeah.
What I would really try to get advice from is like people that have tried making claims before, people that have been in the business long enough to have gone through insurance issues.
Yeah.
And talk to the people that have been doing this for over a decade at least, instead of the new young bucks and who they use for insurance. Because chances are they just haven't had a chance to make mistakes yet.
That's true. That's a very good piece of advice.
Okay. Title companies.
Yeah.
Now there's title and escrow when you're under contract. If you're not using a real estate agent, sometimes people get stuck when they get under contract with somebody and then they don't know what to do next. What you'll want to do is bring that contract to a title company, and they'll most likely also do escrow. They'll say title and escrow because they're two different services. The title company, they provide insurance on the transaction, and the escrow company that's usually under the same roof, different officer, different person that you're dealing with at the title company.
Yep.
They'll handle all the funds at the end and like the disbursements and making sure that everything's accurate.
Yeah.
All your credits and debits are in place. Any liens are going to get paid off. They make sure that you got your insurance.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. They don't necessarily make sure that you got your insurance, but they'll make sure the insurance people get paid and
Right.
like. They actually do handle quite a bit.
They'll handle your amortization if you have them do that as well.
Yeah, if you're doing like seller financing contracts, they'll actually like draft up your promissory notes for you if you like. You can just have like a simple, almost like, it's like going in ChatGPT and asking for like a 1-sentence request.
Right.
And then they'll generate something for you. You know, in your contract, if you have seller financing, you know, seller to finance for the next 30 years at a 5% interest rate. Balloon payment in 10 years, service through this company.
Yeah.
You know, you basically have like a sentence or a paragraph, and they'll take that and they'll turn it into like a 2-page promissory note agreement that will be an actual legal agreement that you can use if you need to get foreclosed on or foreclose on someone.
Yeah, for sure.
So they play a huge, great role. And their services are generally pretty cheap because they usually do a lot of transactions. Cheap relative to if you've ever done it before or not.
Right.
And if you've never done a transaction, you might think it's very expensive.
Right.
What they charge.
But cheap in accordance to the fact that, like, if you were to do this yourself and muck it up,
Yeah, cheap compared to like a real estate attorney,
right?
If you bring all this stuff to your real estate attorney to like, hey, can you do escrow for me? Because attorneys' offices will do escrow and they'll close transactions.
Yeah.
They'll be a lot more expensive than a title company that probably has way more experience.
Sure,
because they're doing them, hour after hour, where attorneys' offices are maybe doing them once a month or so.
Right.
Who
Yeah,
knows?
they're not typically asked for it, but they can.
They might make a lot more mistakes, but they'll charge you a lot more,
Sure.
in my experience, than a normal title company that has plenty of experience, crossing every T.
Yeah.
So it's important. Here locally, what I really like using Title One.
Yep.
For both title and escrow.
Yeah.
I like Tammy Culp as an escrow officer. She's great.
Tammy's great.
So if you're here locally and you need somebody, use them. They're awesome.
Yeah. Nope, Tammy's, we've done a lot of transaction with her. I think most of the transactions we've done together have been with Tammy Gold involved some way or another, and she always makes things just seamless.
Yeah. If you're doing like a sub-2 transaction or something super creative, sometimes Title One can't do those. But like Wendy over at Alliance Title, she can do those kind of creative deals. She's awesome.
Yeah.
So just an alternative title company out there, Alliance Title in Coeur d'Alene, had a lot of great, wonderful experience with Wendy over there. She can do more of the creative type of transactions. No problem with wholesales and sub-2s and that kind of stuff.
Good to know these people. Like I said, Nick knows all these people, so whenever he starts a transaction, he just starts kind of going down his list. Like, okay, I need to call my broker, I need to call my title people, I need to get them on the phone so we can start this process and get the balls rolling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So property managers, that's another one.
Very important.
Super important. Now, these people can help you before you buy something. They can help you right after you buy something. Let's say you bought something that has tenants in it already and they aren't paying rent, and you got a great deal on a property because you're dealing with a tired landlord.
Yep.
Your property manager can step in and just start evicting people potentially. I've had that happen with my guy a couple times.
Yeah, a couple times.
Where I'll buy something in distress and I'll need him to just step in and be the big boy that I'm not going to be.
Yeah. We're too sensitive for that line of work, man.
Yeah. No, I can't handle kicking people out, but this guy can.
Yeah.
So yeah, break your legs, Ryan can get right on that. Yeah, Ryan Flowers over at VIP is who I like to use. He's awesome. I've been working with him for probably 9 years now or so.
Yeah.
And he manages all my long-term properties in Shoshone County and Kootenai County.
Yeah.
I don't think he really works outside of those counties.
Yeah.
And then I'll use different people for like short-term rentals and stuff. So there's different types of property managers out there.
Yeah. There's also Golden Property Management, Josh, I can't remember his last name. That's going to...
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Kelly Clark does it in Washington too. So like a lot of people do property management. So if you're in the area, reach out to some of those people and see how they can help you with their services.
So it's important too, when you're analyzing deals, you might want to reach out to, instead of just going to Rent-A-Meter, it's important to kind of reach out to these people during your due diligence. Like I would call Ryan if I'm buying a rental property before I purchase it, and just call my property manager, let him know the address, the current condition, or what I'm planning to do to it. That way I can really anticipate a realistic rent.
Yeah.
Instead of, oh, the wholesaler told me I can get $19,000 a month for this house, and Rent-A-Meter is saying $7,000, but the property manager is saying it's $2,000. You crazy person.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe you don't. But he deals with this, renting out properties every day.
Yeah. And we love our wholesalers for sure, but sometimes, again, they're not in the industry of renting. They're in the industry of flipping their properties as fast as they can, or signing those contracts as fast as they can.
And they want to shine a great light on all their deals.
Yeah.
And that's just in their best interest.
Yeah, of
so you
course.
always got to wonder what's in somebody's best interest.
Right.
The great thing about getting, my property manager's point of view before I purchase something is I know he's working in our best interest too, because he's not going to tell me something that he's not going to be able to get.
Right.
He might be a little bit conservative slightly, but he's never going to tell me that, we can get $3,000 for something that we absolutely can't because he needs another rental.
It doesn't benefit him.
That would be a headache. He would just have to, you'd have to go market something overpriced. He'd spend a bunch of time not making anything because he doesn't make anything unless he's collecting rent.
Exactly what I was going to say. Most times property managers aren't paid unless they actually rent out your property.
So he's going to give me a realistic idea of what I can expect, not a shiny view of what's possible.
Right. Yeah.
He'll tell me what's pretty much guaranteed.
Yeah. And it's important, like Nick said, and what we're kind of going with through all these things, vet 3 to 5 people in this industry. Right? I mean, Ryan Flowers may not be taking on new clients. Some people can get to capacity, and once they get there, you need to find somebody else who can help service your stuff.
Yeah, I'm not saying you have to use Ryan
at
all. I'm just saying it's a good idea, I think, to have people like Ryan in your corner.
Oh, yeah.
When you need to, if you're buying a rental property, before, during, and after. So,
and a lot of times these property managers, I know it works for you too. So Nick has a lot of rentals with this specific property manager. After a while, once you get to so many rentals, the price per rental goes down because it's easier to manage one client than 1,000 clients for them.
I guess so. Yeah, true. Yeah,
So,
he doesn't have to update as many people.
Right.
Okay, so accountants, certified public accountants or bookkeepers or tax people. Not every tax preparer is a CPA.
Yep.
Just know that. Not every accountant is a public certified accountant, a CPA. So just know who you're dealing with. I dealt with this guy for the first 5 years or so of maybe 7 years of my investing career, thinking he was this awesome CPA.
I remember him.
He wasn't even licensed. He got his license taken away. And I soon found out, I kind of realized every year it was very frustrating that he would never get things done in time.
Yeah.
It saved me a lot of money, but I eventually found somebody who was a little bit more professional.
Yeah.
Was a CPA. And yeah. So you got to be careful who you're dealing with out there.
What does it mean to have an actual CPA license? What kind of protection does that give somebody buying or doing business with this person?
I have no idea.
Okay, I don't either.
But I know that there's a little bit more of a standard, I think, than somebody who's unlicensed.
Sure.
So, yeah. But he's a certified public accountant. Certified. Maybe not licensed. I don't know. But here's what I do know. You're going to want to use these people if you're buying property and stop using TurboTax or stop going to the mall or Walmart to get your taxes done by somebody who doesn't deal with investors on a regular basis. You're going to want to find somebody who other investors primarily like to use.
Yeah.
So if you're here locally, I really like using Tom Robinson. We've had him as a guest.
Robinson, great.
Robinson Financial.
Yeah.
These people aren't paying us to say these, by the way.
Yeah.
We're just giving out some tips.
Although you should pay us.
You should. We'll get to real estate coaching later.
No, but Tom Robinson's great. We've been using him ourselves as well for the last 2 or 3 years. I know you've been using him for just about that same amount of time. I love him, and honestly, we should get him back on the podcast again. And just when he was on last time, it's like listening to somebody who's so much smarter than us, and wow, this is how you save people money. This is so great.
Yeah, I also like that episode. I was like, I had that wrong for a long time.
Oh yeah,
I was thinking about taxes totally wrong.
Yep.
I was giving the bad advice to people I shouldn't have.
Yep.
Okay, real estate attorneys. This one's up in the top 10. I'm not sure if it should be in the top 10, but I guess you should know a real estate attorney.
Yeah. What else would you put in the top 10 instead of that if it were up to you?
You know what's funny? They've got like down at 45 a demo expert and junk removal services, like down at the very bottom of the list. I would put those in the top 10 because you're probably going to be dealing with those people more than a real estate attorney, honestly.
When I hear demolition expert, I think of dynamite, by the way.
Oh, I think a demolition man with Wesley Snipes and Sylvester
That would be a top 10 I'd want on my list for sure.
Yeah. But real estate attorneys, people feel like before they even get involved in real estate, some people, the type C, the high C personality people, they feel like they want to go to a real estate attorney and get everything locked solid before they start investing, which is fine.
Sure.
But realistically, my opinion, I don't think you need a real estate attorney until you need a real estate attorney.
Sure.
Unless you are doing things like setting up, if you're not familiar with LLCs,
right?
If you're at that stage where you need to, I don't think you need to immediately because you can always quit claim your properties after you buy them to an LLC.
Yeah,
I think you should really try to get a deal first before you start investing money into asset protection.
I agree.
If you have no assets,
yeah, there's nothing to protect if you don't have any assets. And you and I have kind of gone back and forth on real estate attorneys and their importance, especially with contracts with friends. And I know you've learned a lot in the last few years, but like I am a proponent of, if you are a newer investor and the verbiage is weird to you or you're getting in a partnership, get a real estate attorney, spend the $2,000 and go talk to somebody who can iron this out for you. Because
if you're going to get into a partnership, yes.
Yeah, if you're going to get into a partnership specifically.
But if you're just buying on your own or just you and your wife,
you don't need
it. I don't know if it's heavily needed right away.
Right. I agree with you there.
Yeah, but if you're getting into a real estate partnership, for sure, go see an attorney, spend the money.
Yeah.
But and we've talked in past episodes about how to save a little bit of money.
Yeah.
Talk with that potential partner ahead of time for a good hour with a recording device maybe.
Yeah.
And then transcribe that with AI and put it in ChatGPT and help come up already with an agreement that you can bring to an attorney and say, hey, we want to get into a real estate agreement. What do you think of this so far?
This is our baseline. How can you help us solidify this and make it a little more legal?
Time.
I agree with you there fully. And I think that's a really good idea. Especially, if you are working with a partner, like you said, I like the idea of having a recording, but also like writing it down, like the key points that both of you want in your contract. And same kind of thing.
I just like the recording ideas because like you can sit there and talk and talk and talk and you can forget to write things down and you can forget about what you talked about. But a transcription these days is amazing. Upload it to AI, like ChatGPT or something like that and say, hey, could you come up with a joint venture agreement for this property based off everything that we've talked about in this conversation, and then add the legalities that you need to. And then you take that to your attorney and watch them try to panic as they come up with something useful. Anyway. That's my advice if you want to save money out there. Maybe I don't have the best view of real estate attorneys just because I feel like their incentives are not going to be aligned with yours all the time.
Sure.
Because their incentive is to bill you by the hour.
Sure.
Most of them.
Yes.
And when you get that kind of billing structure, you don't always get the best intentions for you, and it's more their best intentions are to keep you on the clock,
right?
And I hate that. I wish there was a different way that they got paid.
Sure.
Anyway, appraisers. Here's another one. I think it's a great idea to have an appraiser in your back pocket if you're maybe a real estate agent.
Sure.
I'm not sure if it's really needed if you're just a novice investor or you're a newer investor, because you should be able to go to your agent for values and get them much cheaper or free.
Sure.
So appraisers is something that they recommend out there. I'm not sure if it's that needed unless you're an agent. What do you think?
I would agree with you. Honestly, like the times you're going to need an appraiser are the times you're mostly under contract anyway. And when you're under contract, you should already be using a real estate agent.
But the thing is, like, you won't need to know that appraiser. The bank needs to know the appraiser because you don't get to select the appraiser.
No, this has nothing to do with you, really.
So anyway, That's something that they out there recommend on this big list. I don't know if that's really important. It's important, I think, for a real estate agent to know one.
Yeah.
I don't think investors, I think you're wasting your time if you are actively pursuing one, unless you're buying something off market with cash.
Right.
That would probably
true.
be the only time where it might be a good idea to hire an appraiser.
Right.
If you're buying something off market, there's no banks involved, you're just paying cash. Maybe spend $500 to $1,000.
Yeah.
To make sure that you're getting a good value for your money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Honestly, the next one, though, like the inspectors are going to be a little bit more of somebody who you would want in your corner to kind of look out for things for you.
Now, an inspector, absolutely. If you're doing flips on a regular basis or you're purchasing on a regular basis, you should probably know the inspectors and not just your agents.
Yes.
100%. And I'm a huge supporter on getting a home inspection, even if you're a contractor and you know what you're looking at.
Yeah.
Because this is such an incredible tool to be able to renegotiate with people if needed. And they will go in places that you probably won't want to go, even if you're a contractor. You're probably not going to go in every square inch of the crawl space.
Yeah.
And you're probably not going to go in every square inch of the attic.
Yep.
And you're probably not going to test every single outlet and test all the appliances. Like they do a lot of things that take like 3 to 4 hours that if you're buying this and you're a contractor and you know what you're looking at, you're not going to spend, I know it. I know you. You're not going to spend 2 to 3 hours testing every little thing on that house. So let somebody else do it. It's like $400.
Yeah.
And they can come up with a brilliant report on everything that's wrong with the property that you should address or anything that you should maybe get further inspections on. And it's such a great tool to either renegotiate with or hand this to your subs and say, we need to handle this and this and this.
Yeah.
Or your general contractor, if you're just an investor.
Yeah.
Hand that inspection to your contractor or email it to them and say, hey, can you give me a bid on getting all this done? And then maybe once the house is finished, if you're doing a full renovation, Jeremy, we've done this.
Yep.
We do a full big renovation. And when the contractor tells us he's done, we send an inspector out there. We spend a few $100. And the inspector goes through it with a fine-tooth comb.
Yep.
And we're like, okay, hey, before we give you your final payment, do you mind addressing these things that the inspector caught that will be an issue once a buyer comes to buy this house?
Right.
And it's such an easy way for the contractor to be like, ugh. Yeah, you bet. Like they might grunt a little bit, but like, you're totally right.
I asked you to fix these things. Please do the thing.
Yep, we'll take care of these. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
And then you'll have that report too that you can scratch on and say fix, and you can upload that to the MLS if you're flipping a property and say, hey, we've already got an inspection done, and we got these items already addressed.
Yeah. That's a huge buying point, honestly. Like for somebody like that wants to buy a house and they don't have to do their own inspection, which typically costs $400 to $500.
Yeah.
If you do it for them and you just get ahead of the curve,
and all the issues
and everything's taken care of, boom. I love it. And like you said earlier, like it's such a great negotiation tool where if you get an inspection and there's a lot of stuff wrong, you can negotiate price down, or it's just a line item of work that you can give to your subs and say like, these are the things that we need fixed. Now that we know what needs to be fixed, we can just start working right away.
Yeah. And you might be thinking to yourself, wait, Nick, Jeremy, wait. I'm buying a fix and flip. You want me to get a home inspection twice?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You want me to spend like $1,000 for a guy to go around and stick a thing in the wall?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's be like a pro. The pros do this. Why won't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to save you tons and tons of time and headache.
Yeah.
To just get a third party, non-biased, doesn't care, just acts like a robot.
Yeah.
And here's all the issues with the house.
I pay you money, you tell me what's wrong with the house, and then you fix it. Then you say, I pay you money, tell me what's wrong with the house. And then again, that's where you've got your negotiations all handled for when you go to sell it. And it just makes you look like the professional.
And this is a great tool, too, for wholesalers. I know so the top dog wholesalers in the area that do a lot of business.
Yeah.
I see almost all of them eventually. They just start ordering home inspections for everything they get under contract because it's just such an easier tool to be able to send that to their buyers list as well.
Yeah.
Say, hey, here's a home inspection. That way they don't have to do all the due diligence during their time crunch to try to get it under contract again.
You got to move fast if you're a wholesaler, and like if you can have that
tool.
stuff done, like it's just so much easier than having to schedule out all these inspections for potential buyers. So.
And it doesn't mean that they're going to accomplish all these things.
No.
It's just like, hey, here's the property, here's photos, here's an inspection. who wants to buy?
Yep.
You know, it makes it a lot easier for like experienced flippers to look at that wholesale deal that's got an inspection report, and then they can just go to town with their numbers and make an offer.
Yeah,
They
absolutely.
don't even have to go to the property. All right, general contractors. So now we're getting into our mid-priority contacts.
I would say this is high priority still.
Yeah, probably.
This one feels like it's one of the main three. Like I said, your real estate agent, your brokers for your mortgage, and your contractors would be the top three for me.
Yeah. So these are people that work on houses. But the first person that they mention is someone who doesn't necessarily work on the house.
Yep.
He works with all the people that work on the houses.
Yep.
That's a general contractor. So their job is to coordinate all the specialty people in the house. So like your roofers, your plumbers, electricians, HVAC people, landscapers, pest control, handymen, painters, flooring guys, all those people. You should also, I believe, you should know all these people too and have all these contacts. I myself, I've hired a general contractor a couple of times to actually fully go with a project. I'm a little bit of a control freak when it comes to this stuff, so I prefer not to. Me myself, but
And your brother does a pretty good job of handling most of that too. So.
but I know a lot of people out there listening to this, they don't have the time probably to do this. So you need to find, if you're someone who doesn't have the time but you want to flip homes, you need a general contractor.
Yes.
And that's somebody who's going to make, you know, all the appointments with the electricians, the plumbers, the roof guys, the HVAC guys, the landscapers, handymen, painters, flooring people. The list goes on and on and on. Gutter guys.
And a lot of times your general contractor is going to know these people, but again, like what you said, you should know them as well and kind of vet them, correct? Yeah.
And you might be thinking to yourself, wait, the general contractor, he's probably going to upcharge all these. Yeah,
he will.
he is. That's his job.
Yep.
Your general contractor's got to make money to work.
Yep. That's how he makes his money, by making money off the things he sends you.
Yeah. But here's the thing you may not consider. If you go directly to an electrician, if you go directly to a plumber, if you go directly to a roof guy, an HVAC guy, a landscaper, handyman, painters, flooring people, if you go directly to all these people who you've never worked with before, that they've never worked with you, there's a good chance they may quote you a little bit higher.
Yep.
So, and if
That's a
you're
very good
working
point.
with,
Yeah.
and if you're working with a general contractor, there's a good chance, a really good chance, all these subs are going to quote this general contractor a little bit lower than normal.
Right.
Lower than what a normal, like, retail home owner would get charged.
It's almost like a mortgage broker, how like, like they can find you the best deals because they know the best people for the job.
Yeah. So you're not always going to get ripped off.
Right.
Now, I don't have a general contractor because I also work with all these people kind of like a general. And a lot of these people give me bids that tend to be a little bit lower than what they would be if they went to a regular homeowner.
Yeah.
Because I've worked with them multiple times.
Right.
And I know what materials, like the materials that they're using, I know how much it costs and I know how much they're making and I know what's appropriate for some people to make.
Yeah.
Some people will charge 20 grand for a roof, which is normal, which is what a lot of homeowners might pay.
Yep.
And I know that the materials for that job are like $3,700.
Yep.
And so you want to make 13 grand in 4 days. I know I can be like, if I'm very familiar with that roofing contractor, I can say, hey, if I buy all the materials and have it there, if you just kind of hire you guys for a few days for 6 grand, I can probably get that roof done for 8 grand less, 7 grand less, just by already kind of knowing what they're paying for materials, what their hassle points are.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they don't have to go get the materials. They can just show up, just drop out their crew off when they have time. They can still make money. I'm not saying you guys can't make money, but maybe I can make it easier for you so we can save some.
Yeah. Not only that, it allows you to have them working on the property more, like you said, versus having to go to Home Depot or Lowe's to get more roofing. Like, the longer you can keep your contractors on your property working rather than going to pick up supplies, the more money you'll end up making.
Yeah. And that's not the case with everybody. Some contractors prefer to have their own materials. Which is very common unless you start working with them a lot and they're confident in your abilities to get the right materials there.
Yeah.
But this is a rabbit hole that we can talk about for hours.
Oh, we absolutely could. And some contractors, they're going to want a down payment up front in order to get this project started. The more relationships you build with these people, the more that they'll see that you are trustworthy, and maybe they don't need payment up front, or maybe they'll even get paid out of closing, depending on how many times you've worked with them. There's a lot of negotiation points with contractors as well.
Yeah. Quick advice here: do not pay contractors up front for the full thing before they've gotten to your job.
Yep.
It's okay to give them down payments, a third down, half down, because they may be cautious of you.
Yep. Yeah, it's kind of a standoff at that point.
Yeah, they're like, oh, I wonder if I'm going to get paid at all. What if I do the whole job? I've never worked for this person. They just, I get stiffed or whatever it is. So, but also you got to be cautious of them too, because the other, about a month and a half ago, we hired somebody, or I ran into my fence, my gate with my trailer.
Whoops.
And just kind of broke it, and we needed a new gate. And the contractor it was a friend of an extended family of my wife's who initially built our fence a few years ago. And she was working with him to try to get him to come and bid it out and stuff. And he came and bid it out a little bit high, I thought, but she wanted to do it anyway. And then he asked for the full payment in advance. And I'm like, oh God, please don't do that. But she paid him. This was over a month ago. He's never showed up.
Wow. Okay. How much did you pay him?
$1,700.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. This was, hopefully by the time this comes out, the fence will be done. But yeah, he's been avoiding us.
Okay.
Avoiding her texts, not showing up.
Have you called him?
His money. I haven't yet.
No.
But I mean, this is something you got to watch out for. You can't pay people, contractors, in full before they've ever showed up, because all of a sudden you'll be the last priority on there, because a lot of contractors are busy.
Yep.
If they've already, and they're incentivized by getting paid.
Right. Once they've already been
paid, all of a sudden the incentive for getting your job done, not with everybody, but it seems like a lot of contractors, all of a sudden the incentive goes way down to get that job done.
Why would I finish this job?
Paid. Yeah. I already got paid. Wait.
Right. I'll get to it.
You might be thinking that's crazy, but this is just the way the Wild West of Idaho works.
Yeah.
You don't pay somebody if they haven't even shown up to the job yet in full. Because it's not like he's never going to come do that job.
Right.
But it is a struggle to get that fucker out here.
Yeah.
Because he's already been paid.
Right. And that's something with these negotiation tactics that you're using for contractors, maybe if you can, a lot of them want to get paid in advance, like you said. What if you came to an agreement where okay, I'll buy all of your equipment or all your materials.
Yeah, and it's going to be there.
It's going to be there ready for you to work. Once that's started, and then you can pay them kind of in increments. Once this is done, we'll give you a bonus for this. Or if you get it done by this date, you get 5% extra. I've seen people do that too if you're in a hurry.
Yeah, there are some people are incentivized by that.
Yep.
You always want to create incentive.
Yep.
Yeah, and the biggest incentive that contractors have is getting paid when they're done. And that's what you got to be careful. It's where's the incentive?
Yep.
Now his only incentive is to be a man of his word.
Yep.
Which some people just don't put that high on their priority list.
Right.
Which is unfortunate.
It is.
Okay. Next group of people. This is expansive and strategy contacts. So boosting long-term success. Hard money lenders. Yeah, if you're flipping homes, hard money lenders, you're definitely going to want to know a few.
Yep.
We lend hard money. We broker hard money.
Yeah,
sometimes we lend our own money.
We do. That's it.
But for the most part, we broker other people's money that are retired and don't want to deal with the day-to-day communications or the due diligence as much, and they'd rather have people like us that are in it every day just go lend their money and make a fee.
Yeah.
So we do that. That is for short-term purposes. This isn't down payment money. This is a first position lien on preferably a fix and flip or something like that, or a burr project, something where it's short-term financing. And when I say short-term, I mean 1 year or less.
Yeah. I mean, we have lenders who 60-month financing too, but that's just depending on if they have money available and funds available at that time. And what we're talking about right now is hard money. And what Nick's alluding to is asset-based lending.
Yeah.
right? So it's first position lien, and the reason why like hard money lenders work is because they know that if they get a first position lien on this property, the chances of you defaulting and them getting paid back are high.
Yeah. So they are, and they're high risk loans
Yes.
in general, but we try to counterbalance that risk with a lower LTV, loan to value.
Yep.
So it helps to get a really good deal out there.
It does.
I just bought a house in Rathdrum a couple days ago under contract. The thing as is worth $300,000. I got it under contract for $200,000.
Okay.
So I'm already below
You're
the
at
threshold.
66% already. Yeah.
I'm at a 66% LTV, which is below 70, which is kind of what you want to go for.
Yeah.
And you can get below 70 with cash down.
Yep.
Or with a discount.
Yeah.
I just got the good deal, so
Right.
I didn't need any money. I'm getting a hard money loan from Doug.
Yep.
And because it's such a great deal, he doesn't need any money, any money up front for me. And I knew there's going to be another few thousand in closing costs, so I'm getting a loan for $205.
Yeah. Getting the closing costs wrapped in.
Yeah. Now I am putting up a cross collateral for extra security, so I have another property that has equity that he's just going to tag an extra little claim on if someday I default and if he loses money on this house, so that there's just extra security out there in case the world falls apart.
Right.
So it's a very secure loan. So the risk for him is way down.
Right.
But in general, it's a risky loan because I'm coming into this with no money out of pocket, and it's a property that's
You could walk away almost,
it's
other
about
than
to be
the
foreclosed on.
cross
It's been
collateralization.
vacant for 2 years.
Yeah.
So there's, and a normal mortgage broker is going to look at this with, well, the plumbing has to be running.
Yeah. This
and
won't
all
go
this
FHA.
Yeah, like the power's not on. Like, how are we supposed to do this?
And that's where you come in to fix it, and then eventually
this
someone
is-
will do that.
Yeah. So we're getting a discount on the property to combat all that.
Are you buying a fix and flip then?
Yep.
Congratulations.
This one doesn't need any work though, other than just stuff hauled away.
Nice.
It's just furniture.
I love it.
Somebody moved out of it when their wife died of old age, and he didn't want to be there anymore. So
Okay.
he just left
Wow.
2 years ago.
Wow.
And when they bought it, I saw 10 years ago in 2015, this house was completely renovated to the studs.
Okay. Nice.
Just 10 years ago.
Wow.
So really needs no real work.
What a cool deal. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's
Got
awesome.
lucky.
And I want to say, like, since we're talking about hard money lending right now specifically, like, the way you talk to a hard money lender is you want to make the deal sound as enticing as you can to them. And how you do that is with either a bigger down payment, cross collateralization. Like, you want to come. Most of the time when you're dealing with a hard money lender, if you say like, "Hey, this house is worth $400,000, I'm buying it for $370, and it needs $50,000 of work," okay. So you're going to come to the table with like $100,000 down, then, right?
Right. If
No,
you
I'm
really
not gonna,
want it.
Yeah, if you want it, like we can fund anything. Just how much down do you want to do?
You got to get that loan to value down. Yeah.
So yeah, definitely find a way to make that loan to value enticing for hard money lenders. Most lenders for hard money are going to be in the 70 to 75%. But if you can make it a little less of a loan to value for that, even better chances
Yeah.
of you getting a loan, and probably the better terms you'll get as well.
So if you're out there and you've never heard of this loan type before, it's an unlicensed person that's doing the loan for me because it's a commercial type asset.
There are hard money lenders who are licensed, by the way.
Okay,
but
yeah.
we're not that. We are just commercial only, so it's not residential.
So it's just a person that's lending me money at a 10% interest rate, and the terms are all negotiable.
Oh yeah,
10% interest rate. There's a 3-month prepayment penalty of $5,000.
yep.
So
if you sell in
if I
3
sell
months,
it within 90 days, he gets an extra $5,000, which is fine.
yeah, there's enough on the
There's enough meat on this bone.
yeah. Especially coming zero down, that's really great.
Yeah, and there's no payments for 6 months.
Not
The
bad.
payments are just like they're being built into the loan.
Yep.
Like they just kind of add to the balance
Yep.
every month at 10% of a $205,000 loan.
Yeah.
So pretty simple. And they just want to see that they get in a first position lien. There's no appraisal required.
Yep.
He didn't pull my credit.
Yeah.
He didn't ask to see my bank statements. Nothing.
Yeah.
All he wanted was, he's going to need my signature.
Right. You're gonna have to sign with
about it.
Tammy Colpit, title
Tammy
and escrow.
Pretty simple. And they can be fast loans too. That one we're going to close in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Most times, hard money moves fast because there's not all this, licensed regulations and paperwork that you have to go through. It's pretty cut and dry. Like, you're buying a discounted property. Here's the purchase and sale agreement.
Yeah.
Here's our new contract with the lender. Let's sign.
Yep.
And then make sure you get your house insurance, of course.
The other types of lenders, so that was hard money. There's private money lenders, and those are people, not necessarily institutions that lend like as a job.
Yeah.
So these are people that like maybe it's not their job to lend money. It could just be your Aunt Sonia that like has $100,000 that she wants to lend you to do whatever with.
You have an Aunt Sonia.
I do have an Aunt Sonia. It could be your Aunt Sonia out there too.
It could. Yeah. This is like my bread and butter, honestly. Like this is like
You've been your private lender for me.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
This is the thing, like, in real estate that I love the most. Like, I love being a lender on someone else's project, and I love helping it come to fruition. It gives me an immense sense of joy being like, cool, I helped my friend. I made a little bit on the side. He's happy. I'm happy. Let's do it again.
Yeah. And a private lender, you could be, you don't necessarily have to be on title.
Nope.
You could be on maybe a joint venture. You can be a part of like a deal owner.
Yep.
Or you could just lend me the money, assuming that it's for that, but it's like just a personal note between us. There's multiple different ways that you can do it. We're not going to recommend anything right now,
Right.
Because it can get very complicated and convoluted.
Right.
But just know that you have many different options. Just know that if that person is passively just giving you money and not doing anything else, it could be looked at as a syndication. So you got to be careful.
Yeah.
That you're not just getting money from that person. They have to be actively involved doing something.
Well, yes and no.
And our next podcast with Beth, the attorney, she's going to talk all about the do's and don'ts of syndication. Practicing safe syndication.
Practice safe syndication. I love it. That's really good.
That's what she said.
That is what she said. No, but yeah, private money lenders. Same thing with hard money lenders. Like if you were coming to somebody with a private loan or private loan request, and you're giving them kind of garbage terms, if they don't know any better, they may take it. I always recommend taking care of your private lenders, because if you take care of your private lenders, they're going to want to do continuous business with you. Like I've lent with Nick, 5 or 6 times at this point, and then when he gets my money back, I'm like, okay, what's the next project? That went so well. I got double returns what I was anticipating, or I got equity in the deal, and when that closed, like I made a shitload of money off that. Like, now where do you want me to deploy? Because that was fun.
Yeah, it's always fun to watch your money grow bigger.
It is.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things.
One of my favorite things too. Okay, so there are short-term rental specialists out there. This is a little bit more down on the hierarchy.
Yeah.
But if you have Airbnbs and stuff, you might want to work with a specialist. Oh, we're over an hour.
Okay.
We'll speed this up. So, yeah, you may not want to work with like your long-term rental person here, because this is more of a niche field of management. It's more, you're like running a hotel.
Yeah.
So you kind of need a concierge person that has all that, to help make you the most money.
Yep.
There's 1031 exchange facilitators that you'll probably want on your Rolodex.
Yeah.
A lot of title companies can provide this service.
Yep.
So if you're going to do a 1031, just know you need to know somebody. Surveyors, if you're getting into development at all, you need to know surveyors. You need to know environmental consultants.
Yep.
Which usually work for like those engineer firms that you see all over town that nobody knows what they do.
Yeah.
But they're usually working engineer offices.
Yeah. And that's such important, like the surveyor and environmental consultants. We were doing a hard money deal, and they were buying a used gas station at one point. And my lenders were like, we got to do all these soil tests if we're going to be lending on this, because what happens is that gas soaks into the ground and it makes it unusable.
Right.
So again, like this is stuff you don't really know until you like get in the industry and you're like, oh, I need to test this land because it was an old junkyard for gas.
Yeah. So how do I go do the test? Well, you got to find the person.
Yeah, you got to find the person.
There's a person for everything. Architects, designers, draftsmen. If you're getting into new construction or like a big remodel on a project, you may need an actual like engineered floor plan sometimes with the city. So you're going to need to get to know draftsmen. You don't always need an architect for this kind of stuff. But a draftsman, definitely, you're going to probably want in your corner that really knows, the CAD programs really well.
Right.
Real estate coaches. This is something that probably should be higher up on the list.
I would fully agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, real estate coach. Somebody to keep you motivated and to keep you accountable to the goals that you've set.
Right. Not only that, but like again, accountability is good, but like letting you know like what the next step should be and how to accomplish that. Because again, this stuff gets so convoluted sometimes. You're like, what am I doing? Am I spinning my wheels? Am I making any progress? And having a coach who's kind of on the outside of your business tell you like, okay, it looks like you're kind of spinning your wheels here. Let's get you out of that is a fantastic resource.
We have about 20 other people to go through, but I'm afraid I got to cut it short today.
That's fine.
I have an appointment in less than 20 minutes.
Okay, well that's fine. Well, really, these are the most of the main people that you were going to need. Anything else you need, your agent or any other investors is going to basically be able to provide that resource.
Or just
for
call
you.
us. We'll help you out.
Just freaking call us, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully you've liked our list of the top people you should have on your super team for real estate. This is just the beginning. Like I said, you want all these people in your pocket. You don't need to call them on every single deal, but it's important to know that they exist and what they do.
Well said.
Thank you.
I don't have to say anything anymore.
Don't say anything. I got you, buddy.
Bye, everyone. See you later.
One more thing. If you enjoyed the episode, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and please leave us YouTube comments. We love those, and they make us feel sexy.
Also, if you want to sponsor the show, reach out and we'll hear you.
Yeah, do that. We'll talk to you next week.
We don't have sponsors.
We don't have sponsors. We're working on Breathe the Right.